Ace Nation! I am longtime independent wrestling fan Robert. Crossroads 15, a milestone in independent wrestling, especially for Ace Pro Wrestling, which last so long, was a great show from the Knights of Columbus in Wallington, New Jersey. The event kicked off with the Chance of a Lifetime Rumble. Connor Riley entered at number 1. Prince Akhenaten entered at number 2. The returning Adam Payne entered at number 3. William Wyeth entered 4th. I forgot who entered 5th. But I know among other participants were the returning Bo Pritchard, who carried a case of beer to the ring. Prince Ahmed. I don't know what promotion he works for, mainly. The Black Angel. Blast from Ace's past in the Union City days. Ultimo Maya made his return after undergoing surgery last year. Who else I remember seeing in this? Oh, how could I forget? Commentator Cheyenne Ortiz actually made his in-ring debut as he entered this Rumble to Tom Jones's Is Not Unusual, which he tends to sing at karaoke from time to time. And Cheyenne, I'm sorry to say, but you got your bell rung, pal. William Wyeth, I believe, eliminated you, and you were the first one out of there. I think I forgot the other participants who were in this. But to make a long story short, the Chance of a Lifetime Rumble was won by Alvin Alvarez, where he would get a shot at any championship at any time within the calendar year. Next up, it was time for the Crossing the Line street fight between the Jurassic Juggernaut Vince Steele and the Puerto Rican Punisher El Charro Barriqua Jr. I will not say that 3 times fast. Quite a battle these two waged with each other, and eventually a crutch was brought into play. I think Charles, yes, how could I say I think? Charles' lady was sitting in the front row trash-talking Steele, and eventually he came outside as she slapped him in the face with her left hand. And I didn't know she was left-handed, or maybe she just slaps left-handed. Eventually, I think a Singapore cane came into play, or a kendo stick, and let's just say Charo decided to play ball. Eventually, I think Steele got his hand on that stick, and Charo had a metal chain wrapped around his fist, knocked Steele for a loop, dropped an elbow, and pinned him to win the match and regain possession of his departed father's championship belt. Which, so I think it's safe to say that chapter has come to an end. Next up, breaking away from the wrestling action, Cheyenne Ortiz enters the ring and announces the first inductee of the 2019 class of the Hall of Fame, former referee Big Jose, who also ended up refereeing on this show, and he accepted his induction and mentioned so many from Ace's people from the past he shared the ring with, like Jay Lethal, Mario Boccara, Dan Moff, Tommy Dreamer, and so much. Cheyenne, even though you were not around in the Union City era of Ace, there was a few things Jose actually also did. In the Union City era, Jose actually promoted some shows of his own from like 2010. I don't know if he ran any shows in 2011, but I know in 2010 he started a promotion. At first it was called Prestige Wrestling, but then it was changed to Jersey Wrestling Elite, I believe, and Mario Boccara was the first and I believe only heavyweight champion of that company. And also, in the early days of the Wallington years, Big Jose actually ring announced. So I would say, aside from Mike Lewis, Big Jose was like an ace, a jack of all trades in Ace. And speaking of Mike Lewis, Mike Morgan, seeing that Mike Lewis ring announced, commentated, managed, and wrestled, maybe Mike Lewis should be put in the Hall of Fame next year at Crossroads 16, whenever that may be, and maybe have Danny DeMonto get inducted as well. I mean, he deserves it. They were part of the early days of Ace. I mean, I don't know. You do find yourself watching these videos too often, Morgan. Okay. But the action resumed as we had a triple threat match, which saw the Dukes, Aiden and Ricky, and the Throne, I forgot their individual names, challenge the Great Scots. Joe Scott and, is it Ryan Angus or Billy Angus? No, Ryan Angus. I know that. It's Ryan Angus. And the Great Scots defeated the Dukes and the Throne to retain the tag team championship. But then Malcolm Moss and Ronnie Moses, Job Security, attacked the Scots after their win, and I guess they want to be next in line for a tag team title shot. Next up, it was a four-way match for the vacant Diamond Division Championship, as we saw Jordan Oliver make his Ace debut versus the Champagne Poppy Joey Ace versus the Brooklyn Outlaw Mike Diamond versus wrestling's richest prize Darius Carter. I'm not sure why Mario Bocca, the previous champion, was unable to make this show, aside from the fact he competed at WrestlePro in Rahway, New Jersey. And in this four-way matchup, Darius Carter defeated Mike Donovan, Joey Ace, and Jordan Oliver to win the vacant Diamond Division Championship. And it was at that moment in time they had gone to intermission, and so many were out selling their merchandise, including the War Machine, Man Beast, Rhino. I know Vince Steele was out there. I actually got to speak with El Charro Barriqua Jr. and his lady, and I actually got from Charro himself. I know it does look backwards. He autographed this 8x10 for me. Charro, man, thank you so much again. And we even had a picture together, which eventually, I don't know if it's up yet, but as of this recording, I didn't see it. It'll probably end up on Facebook. Okay. The action resumed as we had ourselves, I guess, it seemed like a bonus match, as we saw former WWE and TNA competitor Joe E. Legend, who WWE fans of the early 2000s might remember as Just Joe, who was backstage mostly as a messenger, and he went one-on-one with Prince Akhenaten. I don't know if Legend put on weight over the years, but he does. The fact he has gotten older, he doesn't look like Just Joe anymore. And eventually Prince Akhenaten defeated Joe E. Legend. Next up was a triple threat match, which saw the Merc, Romeo Castillo, versus Ryan Clancy versus Mouse for the Fight for Flight Championship. A very good matchup, which saw Mouse defeat Ryan Clancy and Romeo Castillo to retain the Fight for Flight Championship. At that point, it was Cheyenne comes into the ring to announce the second inductee of the 2019 Class Hall of Fame of Ace, and it was the Reflection of Perfection, Dan Dynasty, who I remember also wrestled for NYWC years ago. And Dynasty thanked everybody, and looked like Dynasty's losing his hair. Certainly miss him wrestling. And yes, he did come out to Bon Jovi's You Give Love a Bad Name, which was his entrance music. Next up, in a singles matchup, we saw David Potter defeat David Calypso. I apologize if I got his name wrong. David Potter had was working an MMA style in the ring and had these huge gloves on. And Potter was victorious over David Calypso. Again, I apologize if I got his name wrong. Next up in singles action, we saw Bam Sullivan defeat Rob Vegas after hitting a low blow. And then it was main event time as the Deathmatch Asgardian Stockade and the War Machine Rhino were set to challenge the Samoan Dynasty, the future Lance Anoa'i, for the Heavyweight Championship. Stockade hits the ring first, Anoa'i's coming out second, and Stockade leaves the ring to start brawling with Anoa'i until Rhino comes out. Crazy matchup where they were like throwing each other into the seats around the ring. And darn. Eventually, Stockade gave Anoa'i the, look like, I don't know if it was the Gangrel DDT he used, and he pinned Anoa'i to win the championship, but all of a sudden out comes Alvin Alvarez, who was decided he was going to exercise his title shot he won earlier in the evening in the Chance of a Lifetime Rumble, and he hit like Stockade with like all these senton drops, and like Stockade kicked out of one of them, and Alvin hit like 3 more and pinned him, and Alvin Alvarez, the brand new Ace Heavyweight Champion. Personal notes time. It's great seeing Mike Morgan, Denise, Ryan Peterson, Denise, Cheyenne, Crystal, Shady Torres. Oh, I forgot to mention, welcome back, John Harder, unless this was a one-time deal. Crystal, I mentioned. That one guy, I forgot his name. He came to me and said he really enjoys my videos of seeing Ace from a fan's perspective. Dude, I forgot your name, pal. I know you were like I guess you were kind of doing ring attendant duty, taking everybody's attire away from the ring before the matches got underway. Oh, God, I forget. Kenny and, I forgot his girlfriend's name. Speaking of girlfriends, Margie. How could I forget you? And, oh yeah, one guy I forgot to mention in the Chance of a Lifetime Rumble, the returning Lou Nova. Oh boy, let me see. Who else can I remember seeing in the crowd or at the show for whatnot? Well, here's some memorable quotes. He's so heavy! Conor Riley, as he was trying to lift Prince Akhenaten, get Prince Akhenaten over the top rope. Why didn't you come visit me in the hospital? Ultimo Maya, when he hit the ring and sees Akhenaten face to face. You didn't invite me to my wedding. I like free shrimp. Prince Akhenaten in response, and the two of them actually went at it. So I guess to say it is official that the Golden Shower or whatever their tag team name was, they are officially no more. But it was great to see Maya back in the ring. During the match between Rob Vegas and Bam Sullivan, I forgot what Bam did, but Vegas ended up sitting on this lady sitting right next who came with Crystal. I forgot. Crystal, I don't know if that's your friend or a relative of yours. I don't know how she felt about that. And also, Crystal, the price we pay for sitting in the front row, because so many wrestlers were landing right in front of us throughout the night. During the Charo Steel matchup, these kids right near me, they kept making light of that Charo. I wouldn't say it was a wardrobe malfunction, but they just let's just say those kids were looking. I'll just say that it was not a sight for sore eyes. I'll just put it that way without getting into detail, because I'm not going to mention anything that can be added to the files of thanks for sharing. Now, for the second year in a row, Crossroads ran pretty long. I mean, I know the drill that, a lot of independent wrestling shows do not have a tendency of not being prompt or starting on time. I thought maybe that final 160 NJ Transit bus would have been a little behind time. I actually started walking down Hathaway Street after the show, after I went out the door, and I could see the bus went by. So unfortunately, I had to walk in the cold to Passaic and grab one of those mini buses. And I don't believe this. Those damn mini buses, it now cost $6.50 if you want to go from New York City to Passaic or vice versa. While those NJ Transit buses only $4.50, but unfortunately they don't run all night. There has to be a better fucking way to do this. I wish there was a better way. Let me see here. What else can I cover? Well, it was a great turnout for this particular crowd. It wasn't as big as the crowd for last year's Crossroads, that's for certain. Let me see. Other stuff I can think of now. Let me see other stuff we can think of. Other stuff that can mention. One thing I can say. No return date was announced for the next show. I don't know if this means there'll be no more shows until 2020. But at the very next Ace show, I would like to see the newly crowned heavyweight champion Alvin Alvarez defend his belt against the Deathmatch's Guardian Stockade. I'd like to see the newly crowned Dynamite Division champion Darius Carter defend against the now former champ Mario Boccara, since he never did lose the championship. I'd like to see the Great Scots defend the tag team championship against Job Security. Very interesting. I wonder what'll be next for El Charo Boricua Jr. Damn, what else can I think of for this? Who could be next? What else could we have for their very next show? Let me see. Who else can I think of here? My goodness. No, you know what I forgot? Got to mention the two other inductees into the Hall. Well, actually, one more inductee to the Hall of Fame. Just before the main event, former heavyweight and tag team champion Manslaughter was inducted into the Hall of Fame, and I was, thrilled to hear that song by his entrance music, which was "Counting Bodies Like Sheep to the Rhythm of the War Drums." I believe that's the name of the song, which was performed by a band called A Perfect Circle. To this day, I still think of hearing that song. I still think of Manslaughter in the early days of Union City, and he was quite humble with his induction. So, yeah, as I said, maybe next year's Hall of Fame, Mike Lewis and Danny DeMonto are two guys I can think of to put in next year's Hall of Fame. Man, what other? I wonder, maybe Classic Mikey D couldn't make the show since John Harder commentated the event with Cheyenne. Oh, I forgot to mention, great seeing Ron Bosch there. I think he was on the bus, would be heading down to the show. And by the way, not him, I'm sorry, that damn NJ Transit bus, it was such a big line, Ron, we were lucky to get seats on that bus. Because I don't know if it was true that, because there was supposed to be a bus at 5:45 and it showed up like 15 minutes late. Those lazy fucks at NJ Transit. As my old man would say, these bus drivers, they don't want to work. And I don't know if it's true that the bus before that one never showed. And that's why there was such a long line. And, I was glad I was able to sit on that bus. And once the bus reached the Meadowlands racetrack, so many people got off. And then I was able to sit by myself instead of sitting next to someone, because unfortunately my bag that you wrestling fans may have noticed me carrying to shows, it does not fit above the seats on those racks above the seats on NJ Transit buses. But again, since the 160 bus doesn't run all night, or run late, too late, I should say, there's got to be a better fucking way to get to these shows, man, or at least to get home from these shows. At least, I mean, getting to a show is one thing. Getting home is a completely different ball game. Let's see. Who else can I think of? Let's see. What else can be said? I mean, I know I've had a great time at this event and all. Actually, you know what? The Dukes, Ricky, Aiden. Every time your music starts, I can't help but singing this. Just some mean old boys causing a lot of harm. I don't think I could pull off a full-fledged parody of the Dukes of Hazzard theme, but you gentlemen get the point. Don't know if you both watched this. Aiden, I wouldn't be surprised if you do. Damn, who else? Oh, Mike Morgan. I know this is totally unrelated, but I know one time I saw you and Jorge at another show, and we talked about maybe doing another karaoke. I asked you about maybe another karaoke gathering, and you said that was like long ago. You said you were working on it, but I don't know. I wish you would do one of them again, but I know the money and all this other situation. People got to come and all this other shit. And another thing, I hope I don't know if this was true, that some people were trying to get in for free for the show, for this very event for some reason. Because, I certainly wasn't trying to eavesdrop on anybody when I say this, but Morgan, I could have swore I heard you say, I'm going to have to start throwing motherfuckers out. So I don't know what that was about, and I just hope it wasn't too bad, because Morgan, Mike, you're one of those promoters that doesn't worry about all the fucking gaga in the wrestling world, and you rise above all the time, and you just promote your shows, and that's it, and not give a darn about anything, about all the gaga and the drama and the bullshit in this world. And I tell you this, it's stuff like that that makes me glad that I stayed in the crowd, because I don't have to deal with all that stuff that goes on behind the curtain before a show, during a show, after a show, or anywhere between shows, all that other stuff. But nonetheless, Mike Morgan, kudos, man. Crossroads 15, another great show. Who knows what Crossroads 16 is going to bring next year? But if you're not going to run in December, you know what? I say this, Ace Pro Wrestling, a whole new decade's about to start. 2020. I say this for all the fans. I'm not speaking on behalf of all the fans, but I will say this. With Ace Pro Wrestling 2020, I say, look out. Ace! 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 Ace!